Moya. A humanoid robot walks toward the camera, slows down, lifts its chin, and makes eye contact. Then, like it's remembering something, its mouth curls into a small smile. Not a cartoon grin, a measured, human-style smile that feels chosen. That's why the clips are addictive. Your brain does the dangerous thing and assumes there's someone inside the machine. Viral. People are calling it the first biometric AI robot. That phrase is technically wrong, but it reveals what viewers actually feel in their gut. It can see me. And today's story is the moment biomimetic robots start colliding with biometrics. Hook. Here's the open loop we're going to close. The same design tricks that make Moya feel alive also create the perfect hardware pathway for face recognition. So we'll break down what Moya is and why 2026 is the year this becomes a debate. Biomimetic. Moya is described as a fully biomimetic embodied intelligent robot. It means human-like in the body, warmth, facial micro-expressions, and movement that's designed to be believable in the spaces where humans live. Face. The second headline detail is micro-expressions. Not just it can smile, but tiny facial movements that humans read subconsciously. If a robot can mimic them, it can influence trust before it says a single word. Uncanny. If Moya feels creepy, it's not because it looks perfectly human. It's because it's almost human. The uncanny valley is what happens when realism gets close enough that the tiny mismatches become louder than everything else. Scale. Moya is reported to be about 1.65 meters tall, around 5.5 feet. That matters because it's not industrial scale, it's social scale. It fits in a lobby. It can stand where a person would stand and occupy personal space. Roles. DroidUp's suggested use cases are public-facing: banks, malls, museums. Places where a robot's job is greeting, guiding, and making the space feel modern. For a greeter, trust is the product. Proof. Here's the proof moment and why it matters. Once perception is good enough to track, the jump to recognition becomes an engineering decision, not a sci-fi leap. That's perception plus control. Twist. Here's the mid-video twist. The scary part isn't that Moya looks human. It's that the business case for recognition is irresistible. Recognition creates ROI, loyalty perks, analytics, VIP routing, and frictionless service. Deployment. That means the first wave won't be living rooms. It will be showpiece locations, flagship stores, bank lobbies, and conference venues. Places where companies have incentives to notice you back. Consent. And this is where robot greeter becomes roaming biometric sensor. In public spaces, consent is messy. People pass through. Kids appear in frame. Groups gather. Nobody taps agree the way they do on a phone. If a robot is collecting identity signals, the social contract changes. Privacy, the hard questions, aren't philosophical. They're operational. Does the robot store images or face embeddings? Is processing on device? Is anything sent to a server? Is identity linked to behavior logs? Can a person opt out while still entering a building? The moment you can't answer these quickly, trust collapses. Realbotics. Now zoom out. Because Moya isn't the only signal. Companies are openly building the biometric layer. Realbotics, for example, has publicly announced a robotic AI vision system for humanoid robots featuring user face recognition, object recognition, face tracking, and real-time scene detection. Stack. Translate that into plain English: see a person, identify a person, follow a person, understand the room. Add a conversational model and you get a robot that can hold context like, "You were here last week," or "This area is crowded, please follow me." Selfie. Realbotics has also described a workflow where users can upload selfie biometrics through a controller so the robot can remember and personalize interactions. That is biometric design by intention, opt-in recognition, like setting up Face ID for a device. Convergence. Here's the problem. What's opt-in at home can become ambient in public. Once recognition is normal for personal robots, customers start expecting it everywhere. And then companies start deploying it everywhere because it's profitable. Eyes again. Remember the eyes. Sensors placed behind human-like eyes feel natural, which makes data capture feel invisible. People are used to cameras in corners. They're not used to cameras that look like they're looking back. Scene. Imagine a museum lobby. A humanoid greeter tracks the nearest face, smiles, and offers directions. With scene detection, it notices a crowd and adjusts position. With recognition, it treats returning visitors differently. With analytics, it logs flows and dwell time. Each layer is valuable. Each layer also increases the amount of personal data in motion. Bank. Now imagine the same. Robot in a bank. Recognition can be framed as service, but it also raises uncomfortable questions. Is it just greeting or is it screening? Is it measuring who approaches which desk? Is it creating a biometric history of a physical space? Risk. The risk isn't only surveillance. It's misidentification, bias, and overconfidence. Biometric systems can be wrong, and when they're wrong in a high-stakes environment, the consequences are real. A friendly face doesn't reduce that risk, it can hide it. Human, and that's the psychological trap of biomimetic design. Human-like presence lowers your guard. It makes people stand closer, face the robot directly, and share more information. In other words, it primes humans for the biometric layer, even if the robot never says, "I'm identifying you." Reality again, back to Moya. With a sober view, the strongest public claims are biomimetic. warm skin in the 30 CQ°C to 36°C range, micro-expressions, and a widely repeated 92% human-like gait, plus human-scale dimensions. The videos show social interaction and controlled movement. They do not prove general autonomy, meaning, but biomimicry is not a gimmick, it's a strategy. The first robots to be accepted in public spaces won't be the strongest. They'll be the ones that feel safe. Moya is a blueprint for that. Social believability first, capability expansion second. Timeline. If Moya enters the market, around late 2026 as some reports suggest, it arrives at the exact moment AI models are getting better at real-time perception and conversation. That convergence is why this year matters. It's not just a robot can smile, it's a robot can smile while understanding. Checklist. So here's a simple viewer checklist you can use anywhere you see a humanoid. First, does it do tracking or recognition? Second, is recognition opt-in with a clear deletion path? Third, is biometric processing on device? Fourth, is there clear notice in public spaces? Fifth, does it infer emotion? And if so, where is that data stored? Shift. Once humanoids become normal, the debate will shift. Today we argue about whether they're creepy. Tomorrow we argue about what they remember. And after that we argue about what they're allowed to infer. Conclusion. Moya is best understood as a biomimetic embodied robot, a human-scale machine designed for social acceptance through warmth, micro-expressions, eye contact, and a highly promoted human-like gait metric. Viral edits oversell autonomy, but the real breakthrough is presence, believability in public space. Biometrics enters the story through the vision stack. The same sensors that enable connection can enable identification. And the biometric robot direction is already being built openly, with systems that promise face recognition, tracking, and scene detection as standard features. Final. That's why the headline for 2026 isn't "robots are here," it's "human-like presence is here." And the controversy won't be whether they can smile. The controversy will be whether they can recognize you and what happens to that recognition after you walk away.